Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and today I'm going to be doing a live review of the new compilation from Odio Records, Issue 6. Here we are people, the latest installment of the Issue series, just under a year since the last one, and as always, very excited. And again, just had a look at the track list, Odio continuing to showcase some of the very best in the underground, with a couple more household audio names dropped in there as well, for good measure. So yeah, imagine it's just going to be chock full of a wide range of different dubstep styles, but really, I mean, who knows what we're going to get. I mean, you might know, you've probably heard it already, but me, I don't really know. It could be anything. But yeah, anyway, 15 tunes here, hearing them all for the first time, providing comment along the way. You know how we do. By now, well, let's go. And kicking things off today with Decay and Crystallic's Convulsion. Quite odd, that introduction, but I quite liked it. You know, that muddled kind of feel, but I got into it, you know. Interesting so far. Not massive on that main sound, that, you know, that kind of tripling that's going on. There's a bit of a jarring feel to it for me personally, sorry, but I think it's one that I can imagine I'll enjoy more as I hear it again and get used to it. But yeah, for now, just has a bit of a weird feel to it for me personally. Hell. Enjoy how they're kind of unleashing the idea and doing different things with it. But yeah, that main sound to me just a little bit grating, just for me personally. Can't quite get into it. Something about that main sound to me just, you know, I enjoyed how they unleashed it in different ways as it went on, and yeah, they were very inventive on that way, or, you know, on that front in that way. To me, feeling just a little bit off, a little bit jarring, a bit, yeah, I don't know, just something about it. Maybe just the whole hollow appeal of that sound overall. Maybe felt like it needed just a bit more of a warm feeling to it, but I don't know. There was something about it, that main sound just kind of jabbing out, that became a bit grating for me the more I heard it, even though, again, it was unleashed in pretty interesting ways as it went on, and I do commend them for that on the invention front. Can't forget also, there was that pretty mad kind of, I suppose, second release or just moment with that final second drop, which was just incredible. You know, the mix of sounds there, very glitchy and technological and all of that. Yeah, that was very cool, very intense with the amount of sounds going on. On that note, I think the production overall was very good. Yeah, had a very clean, sharp, defined feel to it overall. That was awesome. And yeah, just had this kind of fuzz, this kind of underlying gristle just kind of lying below, which gave it a nice bit of evil, a bit of menace, just kind of, yeah, just resting below the track. That was fantastic. But yeah, the heaviness for me, just with that being the main point, that's very much the kind of the focus and the main takeaway that you have to get from a dubstep leaning tune like that. So yeah, the main sound for me just coming off as just a bit much. I don't know, I can't quite get into it at the moment, but you know, that could change when I hear it again, which I will be doing for sure. Not a bad opener, not a bad opener. Then we have Over It by Guillotine. Decent so far, not blown away or anything like that. I think it's just quite pleasant, quite a nice outlay of sound, animated as well. You know, this vocal, fantastic, loving that. Going with the kind of animated, lively feel of the introduction and the tone that's set, or is setting for the tune so far. The fake ups are good, I like them. These bits I can imagine getting into a lot more as I hear it again and again. It's just catchy. Decent. I think the main drops that we get, the first and second, when each one just kind of comes in for the first time, just a bit straightforward, a bit simple, but I think that does create a good foundation for the progression each time, which is very catchy and which I can imagine enjoying a lot. You know, quite a lot as I hear it again and again. That kind of do 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 do. That's very good. Easy to get into, memorable, and just got a good bop and a good flow to it. The introduction was very good as well. I loved the animated feel of it, just quite upbeat, and the introduction of the vocal at that point as well. That kind of reaching up to the heavens feel to it, quite glacial as well. A bit of an icy feel to it. That was fantastic, and does a very good job in that section, I think, of kind of just setting the tone for the tune overall. Just having a solid structure and a solid idea, running with it, and keeping it quite simple and making that quite effective. You know, the main ideas for me, again, being a bit straightforward, but I do like how they pick up, and lots of other good stuff kind of embellishing that simple but effective technique that we have going on here. So yeah, a solid little number there from Guillotine. After that, we have Anaconda by Hostile. Does my Anaconda don't, or does my Anaconda do? Ooh. Love the way it's cut. Ooh. Coming across to me so far as one of those where I can't even begin to even remotely think of tackling everything that happened there. There was just so much going on. Production, very good, and the arrangement, fantastic. Loads of sounds going on, a mix of emotions and moods as well. Yeah, it's just exciting. You know, a couple points maybe where it might have got a bit muddled, but aside from that, yeah, just feeling very ambitious and adventurous here. Liking it. Ooh. I mean, we talk about, you know, people, artists, musicians, whatever, doing something a bit different, and yeah, just wanting to provide a bit more excitement, a bit more freshness into a scene which, you know, has a propensity to become quite stale quite easily. But yeah, definitely getting that there in pretty much every way, I would say. You know, the idea, the layout, the kind of production, the arrangement, it's just very exciting. And again, it's one of those where, you know, I can't even, by this point, quite remember everything that happened in that first half. There was so much going on, but I just remember it all just feeling a bit muddled, but it had a coherency to it. You know, points again where it did maybe just feel a bit too convoluted, like maybe there was a bit too much going on. But I think for the most part, it was just feeling quite clear in what it was going for, in spite of, again, it just feeling like a bit of a mad collage, basically, is what I would kind of call it. That's before we get onto that second half outro kind of moment, which had a bit of a mid-tempo synthwave combination kind of feel to it. You know, it was kind of like driving in a car down an open road at about 3 o'clock in the morning, but also with the rounded, pounding kind of motoring feel of mid-tempo, if you get me. And yeah, just unique, this tune, as a kind of combination of ideas, a progression of it. Just everything going on here is not quite what you'd expect, and that's what you want to hear. Really liking that one, and it would have to be my pick so far. That one from Hostile. That was good. Then we have Wacky by Decay. Blimey, that's quite alarming, isn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic, again, arrangement and construction of sounds, but, like, for me, just the way it's presented is just a little bit too full on. I feel like I'm being, you know, G-force, knocked back in my seat kind of thing, and that's probably the intention. That is probably the intention, but yeah, for me, it's blaring out, like... Whoa, 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 whoa. Why is it kicking off right at the end again? Again, don't get me wrong, the arrangement here, the construction, the sheer ambition with the collection of sounds going on here, the production for the most part, pretty good, although I think the snare could have maybe been a bit sharper, just to, yeah, you know, back up that idea just a little bit more, just a bit, yeah, you just give it a bit more of a refined feel. But whether that would have quite taken away from the sheer blaring and alarming nature of that heaviness overall, which is, you know, kind of kicked off in each build, which just has those really kind of stabbing alarm sounds, just kind of meh, meh, meh. It is just a bit too much to kind of, a bit too much to take in, a bit too hot to handle, I would say, for yours truly at this moment in time. Again, I could end up just getting used to that aspect of it more when I hear it again, which I will be doing, but my god, that was full on. That would be my thoughts on that one. Moving on from there, we have Petrol For Dinner by Joe B. Stop it, that is naughty. Oh. Oh. Blimey, it just keeps going on, doesn't it? Another very intense tune, but getting it just about right for me, with both the amount of sounds going on and the production as a combination of the two. Something that maybe ones before it in the compilation haven't quite had and been a bit too much. This one gets the balance just right, I think, for me anyway. Oh, a slowdown, a breakdown. Oh, okay. That second drop, that is one of the best drops I've heard this year. The dynamic there between everything going on, the inclusion of sound, you know, the perfect kind of balance again, and knowing of when to bring new sounds in and when to leave them out. Just the amount that was going on and the way that every sound, every little bit there was just heard so clearly, and yeah, just nothing felt out of place, even with so much going on. Just a bit of a mad mutation of what we got in the first drop, if I'm being honest, which was, you know, very similar, you know, same kind of style, same kind of thing that he was going for, just not quite as out there, not quite as crazy and mad with the combination of sounds, even though it was still quite, you know, quite a lot. It's just Joe B in full flow, basically, and it's fantastic to just, you know, see him honing that style even more and really kind of asserting himself with what he's going for, his aesthetic and whatnot. I do think that first drop went on for maybe just a little bit too long, and we could have maybe got a midway moment or point that was, I don't know, maybe a bit quieter and just did a better job of, I don't know, quelling the track down. But then again, we do kind of get that with the slowing down and rebuilding, the changing of tempo and whatnot, which was just fantastic. and that's a perfect setup for the second drop as well. I think the introduction was very good as well. And another thing I want to mention here as well as a kind of wholesale point for the tune, just the inclusion and kind of weaving in of vocals here. Little vocal samples, very devilish and very mean, menacing. That was fantastic. So yeah, I think for the most part here, just Joe B in full flow. But for me, quite possibly the best I've heard him yet, if I'm being honest. That second drop alone was just absolutely knockout material, and the first one wasn't, that much, wasn't that far behind, if I'm being honest. Joe B excelling, once again. Top stuff. Then we have Jub and Mad Dubs with Sorry Massive. Sorry is massive. Wicked. Yeah. Yeah, I do enjoy the kind of acidy and bubbly kind of feel to it, I suppose. That's quite nice. I like the sounds being used, the wavy, windy feel of it, quite disorientating in a good way, within a pretty standard, simplistic, rhythmy structure. The winding, disorientating thing, I think, is fine. Can get a little bit grating after a while, but I think for the most part, just fine. Fundamentally, ultimately, just a little bit simplistic for me. Even though we do get a good range of sounds there, and I think they're brought together quite well. Yeah, the idea is just the layout, the progression of it overall. Just to me, it can get quite incessant, that main idea, that kind of wavy, winding thing. And yeah, just overall coming off as a bit simplistic. But the production, I think, was very good. It had quite a deep and rounded feel to it. Quite fruity, quite whole. And also had some good vocal samples in there. Sainsbury's and dubstep and the world going mad and all of that. That was some good shit from the Sorry Massive. But yeah, I think overall, when it comes to the focal points here, just fine for me. I would say fine, but I would stop there myself. After that, we have The Method by Kerosene. Really interesting tune this, because it's got quite a range of different dubstep approaches kind of woven in and forced together. The sounds are quite tear-outy, but the layout is quite modern dubsteppy, a bit bro-steppy, and then you've got those other bro-step sounds just kind of woven in, those tear-out stuff. But the format, the structure, just bro-steppy, and those. Good repetition as well of that idea. Musically as well, melodically, musicality-wise, very, very good. Very good. Introduction, outro, it's very pleasant. Not the most out there amazing ideas, I'm not blown away on that front, but I do appreciate, for one, the repetition that we got within each main drop as it went on. Just kind of copying and pasting that over, I think, worked really well. But then, on a second level, I think, again, just the way that it seemed to kind of infuse and weave in all sorts of different kinds of dubstep influences and styles and just approaches, if you will. I think the main sounds had quite a tear-out feel to them, that stabbing, big room kind of feel. But then the structure was quite bro-steppy, with it being quite confined, quite animated, quite electric, if you will. Then we had those other modern dubsteppy, bro-steppy kind of sounds just kind of dropped in as well. Early Excision, robot kind of stuff, which was cool. So yeah, as a combination of ideas, of influences, of sounds, I think this track really worked. And then we had the musical stuff, the more melodic stuff, which set up and rounded off the track, I think, in a very effective way. So yeah, I mean, the ideas I'm not wowed by. They're fine, but as a mix of sounds, as a mix of influences again, and just the rest going on here that is good, it would have to be another here from the compilation that I am seeing as a bit of a favourite so far. That was good stuff, you know, a lot of good going on there. Yeah. After that, we have Span Dub by Noir. Okay. Yeah, that heaviness so far, I must admit, not a massive fan. Just comes off as a bit too stompy, and you know, that'd be fine, I think, if the production was proper sharp, you know, properly refined and all of that. It's just got a bit of an overblown feel to it, and yeah, just coming off to me as a bit much, which is not what I expected, I have to admit, with that introduction. How kind of fruity and yeah, bubbly and fun and full of life it was. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, I have to admit. This is absolutely insane. It's so odd hearing that heaviness and then going back into that, like, very, yeah, again, a bit odd. Yeah, I mean, I said what I said about the first drop. The second drop did pick it up a bit, you know, had a bit more going on, had quite a distinct Dr. Rosie feel to it, I think. Yeah, just felt like something you might hear from, I don't know, Play It Back Again or something like that. You know, just that kind of chunky, mechanical, industrial sound, and I do rate how it did pick up, but yeah, ultimately it was still that overly stomping feel to it, and I don't know, for me, just didn't get that much from it. Felt a bit mindless, didn't have that much invention behind it or to it. And yeah, I suppose just heard stuff in the past from Noir that is a lot more exciting and a lot more colourful, a lot more flavoursome, if you will. Don't let me take away, please, from the introduction, all the kind of interlude sections that we get. So incredible, like so good. Those jovial synths and the whole animated feel of it. Yeah, just very uplifting, and just a mad contrast and kind of juxtaposition from the heaviness. It was quite mad when it originally came in. I was quite shocked, quite taken aback, because that was completely not what I thought was going to happen. I'm going to, again, just need a bit of convincing on, not quite feeling it at the moment. But yeah, that would be my thoughts on that one. After that, Mejia. That's the sound. You got it. Right there. That's it. Couple of nice aspects in there for me. For one, some of the sounds which were repeated, I think, were nice, and yeah, that was something to kind of remember, hang on to, all of that. The radiant sound of it, well, the radiant feel of it overall, sorry. Yeah, just kind of had this glow to it, which I think was nice as well. But fundamentally, for me, with dubstep like that, I find it quite difficult to get into because it's quite sluggish to me. Just the outlay, the rhythm of it, the flow. Not much exciting about it, just has a bit of a, yeah, kind of like I'm wading through mud, if you get me. I just don't find much that I can really get into and remember, and just, you know, stuff that's, again, just making me excited about it. Just not much here that I'm feeling enthralled or enthused by. that would be my thoughts on that one. Then we have Borasov by Madcore. That one is cutting deep. Production's pretty sick. Like that is some sharply cut tunage right there. Yeah, I mean not the most amazing ideas, but I think the way it's cut, the kind of eccentric feel about it is very infectious. Like I'm, you know, that's the kind of thing that's going to bring me back to it. These bits are a little bit odd. I think it's a kind of combination of sounds and the mood of it. Just feels maybe a little bit weird. Feels a bit clunky, like it's kind of falling over itself. Oh, what's going on here? 25 seconds or so of silence at the end. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't bad. I think for me the main takeaway would have to be the production being just so finely cut, especially in that first initial hit that we got. You know, we get it throughout, but you know, the initial impact of that cleanliness of the production is just mad. You know, searing, just piercing right through your fucking skull. The ideas in this tune not amazing, and I think each progression just feels a little bit weird as a kind of combination of the melodic aspect of it and yeah, just the arrangement of sound just feels a little bit clunky. But I think, you know, my main takeaway again just does have to be the production that we get here and the whole kind of quirky, eccentric feel to the whole thing, which can get a bit odd and a little bit unnerving, a bit weird, but I do think it just lends a bit of a, yeah, again, just a bit of a quirkiness to it. And I think for me, aside from that, I suppose the other sections were fine from what I remember. So, yeah, that would be my thoughts on that one from Madcore. Moving on from there, we have Chaos Order by Muerte. Beastly, monstrous, fucking hell, that is top-notch stuff. Really liking that. The way that it's just got such an impending feel to it. It feels like it's kind of surrounding you, standing tall above you, yet still with the structure feeling quite confined. That combination, bellissimo. Ooh. Grabbed my soul, ripped it out of my body like it's demonic. It's fucked up. That was filthy. I like that. Yep, that would have to be one of my picks so far for sure. For what it is going for in that tune, well, for what he is going for, just executed perfectly, I think, in my opinion. You know, that kind of style is one that I'm loving a lot, and which we've heard, you know, elsewhere from the likes of, you know, Sudden Death, maybe in a slightly different way, a bit more expansive perhaps, but also people like, I don't know, Glasspack or Nossphere, you know, having that really, well, honing in on that very demonic, beastly and impending kind of sound, but keeping it quite confined in terms of, you know, the structure we have. It's not like super out there and just epic really in any way. I mean, it's epic in sound. I think the sounds that we get are quite large and they're quite, yeah, again, they're huge kind of sounds, quite big, roomy. But it's all confined within that little structure, and that is quite an amazing contrast, I think, and not easy again to get right. So, yeah, just pulled it off so well there. The mix of sounds, and we had a couple there, well, a couple of moments actually, little motifs that, you know, you just kind of return to as the tune went on. I think some of the best production that we've heard on the compilation so far. Very deep, had a very rounded feel to it. Just very backed up and whole and full and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, this might be the first one on the compilation for me where I'm not sure I can fault it or where I can fault it. You know, things that it's potentially doing wrong, or, you know, stuff just being a bit ill-fitted and not quite working with the tune and idea overall. No, that one is, it's excelling for what it's going for, just ticking all the boxes. And, you know, Muerte, you know, killing it, as we all know at the moment, but for me, that would have to be one of his best so far, for sure, and 100%, through the eyes of your naughty boy. So, yeah, that one, top marks from me. Next up, we have Nerve and Aimless with Obeya? Oh no, that's too much. That's too much for me. Can't remember which one it was before that we got in the compilation. Was it the G code maybe? Where I just found it a bit too full on, and it's the exact same here if I'm being honest. It's too much. It's too much for me. On all fronts, like, there's a bit too much going on. The sound is a lot. Fucking hell. Yeah, that one for me in pretty much every way in the heaviness, just far too full on. Like, the amount that was going on, it's quite hard to kind of keep up with. Not something that I can, you know, at any point just, I don't know, see myself moving along with or getting into properly. There's just a bit too much going on. And then the production just had this quite harsh, like, overblown feel to it. You know, I can appreciate the arrangement, the construction of sounds, and, you know, must have taken, you know, for a collaboration as well, that thing of sacrificing ideas and allowing the other person to kind of take the reins with the tune and whatnot, you know, quite difficult managing that, and I think they did quite well in just, you know, bringing all of that together. But the execution for me just needs a lot of work, and that was quite overbearing to the point where I just felt, yeah, I felt kind of attacked by the tune, you know, and like I couldn't really find a moment of respite or like a point of escape that was available. That would be my my thoughts on that one. After that, we have Fragment Flow by Surface. Nice pace to this one. Again, a lot going on, but I think the delivery of it is just a bit less full on, just a bit more well managed. You know, the introduction was a bit odd, a bit muddled, and the transition into the heaviness was again just a bit odd, a bit weird. That falling sample, I mean, how many thousands of times has that been used by now? Like, come on, we got to move on from that sample. Jesus Christ. But the heaviness, it was exciting, it was electric, it was, yeah, I liked it. You know, not really a true idea kind of shining through, but it was frenetic, and I'm enjoying that about it. Oh, and now we're getting a bit of that, and that is tickling my fancy. Oh my god! Oh my fucking... Almost standing up here, like... What the hell? This is one of the best drops on the compilation for sure. This is mad. Go on. Go on. Go on. Oh my... Fuck Fucking hell! If that isn't a tale of two halves, then I really don't know what is, if I'm being honest. The first half was just, I mean, it was so, there were so many conflicting emotions for me when I heard that first half that I wasn't really completely looking forward to the second half, I must admit, you know, with that first half in mind. Again, the introduction, the transition into the heaviness that we got originally in that first drop, the falling vocal sample, you know, there were parts of that first drop where I was like, you know, that was kind of maybe like a little hint or a sign of what we were going to get in the second half. That was, again, frenetic, very good, very well managed. The awareness of time and space there was good, but it was kind of dropped in amidst a load of stuff that just felt a bit convoluted and which didn't quite work. And again, I can't say enough about that falling vocal sample. Like, Jesus Christ, can we move on from that? But then the second half, I mean, yeah, again, I can't help but sit here and think that would have to be one of the most impressive drops that I've heard all year in 2021, like, genuinely. And, you know, that might be because it's in light of what we got before in the first half, but just the transition into it, you know, the slowdown, the breakbeat introduction, and just how it wound up, and then how it just carried on and surged forward with that beat. And with so much going on, the production being fantastic, all the sounds kind of rebounding off one another, it just really worked and just kept the energy up in such an effective way. So, yeah, very much a tale of two halves here. In the start, just a bit odd, and didn't quite know what I thought of it. But then as it went on, it just bloomed and flowered into one of the most exciting drops, again, that I've heard all year. Gonna have to say it, gonna put it out there. Yeah, interesting song. And ultimately, we have FOP by Why Not? Why Not?
Prepare yourself for the worst.
That snare is quite a lot. It's quite a clang on that.
There are no humans left.
See, I like the idea. Quite loud, quite just abrasive. That's quite good, but the execution. A simple case there for me of liking the idea, well, liking it quite a lot actually, but the execution just not quite pulling it through. Yeah, that stomping, kind of overblown, but not quite that, which is why I enjoyed it. You know, it was quite large, quite gargantuan in feel, but yeah, the execution, just that really kind of, I don't know, empty sounding industrial clang of that snare, and the other surrounding sounds that we got just completely distracted from the main idea, and meant that, yeah, it just had, you know, I don't want to say that the song is therefore not enjoyable. It's just, for me, that is quite a distracting thing, and it's something that can't be ignored with it just playing such a big part in that tune and being so at the forefront. Just that clang is really really sticking with me and won't be leaving for a while. But yeah, that will be my thoughts on that one. Finally for today, we have Crypto by Evoid and Zeta.
Processing transaction. Please hold.
Those drums, oh my god, they're good. The idea is good, it's exciting, just yeah, I mean, here what we get, a pretty decent idea, but that snare, it's not sitting that well with me, if I'm being honest. Ooh, what's going on here? Some of the best percussion that I've heard on the whole compilation in these interlude moments, but the snare and that heaviness. Yeah, I just don't know what's going on. Like, listen to that. That is incredible. What the hell? Ooh, that's better. Yeah, not a bad closer, had its good stuff, had its not so good stuff, but for me I think the good stuff just about outweighing the not so good, what with the second half just being a bit of a better, a more rounded and just well-formed mutation and evolution of the first drop, which, you know, was a fine idea, you know, kind of laser sounds firing off everywhere, but that snare really did bring it back, you know, just did bring it down just a bit. Yeah, it was a surprise to me because, you know, a lot of the percussion across the tune, especially in those interlude moments, was so good. Those kind of tribal drums that we got in the build each time, and then that kind of midsection point, which was so finely cut and so well put together. The second drop, again, as I mentioned, just sounding, yeah, a bit more well-formed and a bit more rounded in the production. The snare there was just a bit, well, not a bit, a lot snappier, a lot more kind of depth beneath it, and it just propped up the idea a lot better, which was kind of similar, the idea from one drop to another. Did also want to mention the introduction and the outro as well. The introduction having this very, a lot of scope to it, quite just reached out quite well, had quite a grand melodic feel to it, very full of life and uplifting. And then the second, well, not the second half, sorry, the outro was good. The way it wound the track down as well just gave it a nice kind of sheen and a pretty pleasant way to end off this compilation, issue 6, Odio Records. Okay, let's do a little bit of rounding up here. And yeah, issue 6, a decent compilation overall, I would say. I think for me, what I'm looking for in a good compilation is either consistently good across pretty much the whole thing or completely excellent in parts, and I think that's what we get here. The latter, yeah, completely excellent in parts for me, issue 6, because, yeah, some of the best drops I've heard all year on this compilation for sure. You know, sticking by that, of course I've only heard them once, but it's not often that I get, or I feel kind of taken aback, blown away, and I definitely had that at various points here. And then beyond that, we get some very effective tunes that are just very, very good as a combination of structure, you know, ideas, production, all of that. Quite a few duds, I must say also. Tunes that I just can't imagine I'll come round to at any point, even if I hear them again and again kind of thing. You know, some feeling quite ineffective with the ideas and just a bit flat, and others that are just quite full on and quite overbearing with the amount that's going on with the production as well. That being said, I do rate the diversity of the compilation, you know, the range that we get here. Just a lot of different styles being tackled, and that kind of means that the compilation doesn't really get boring on that front in any way from front to back. So, yeah, it is a decent compilation overall, definitely going to say that. And on that note, I think my favourites here would have to come from Hostile, Joby, Kerosene, Muerte, and the second half of the Surface, which was just, as you know from my reaction, what I said, a bit of a joke in the best way possible. So, yeah, that would be it, guys. My live review of issue 6 from Odio Records. And now, of course, and as always, I want to pass it off to you guys. What are you making of issue 6? Which tunes of the 15 are your picks? Which ones are you enjoying most? Drop all of your views, thoughts, and opinions in the comment section down below. Beyond that, subscribe if you're yet to, hit the bell along the way, and all the necessary links are down below. You got your social media accounts, your Twitch, your Patreon, it's all there, so go down below, check it out in the description. But yeah, keep it naughty. If it's naughty, then you know, and I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace!